Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Network for Imagination and Creativity's first ever roundtable discussion. My name is Stan Baines, and I'm your host for this evening's event. We are so glad you're with us this evening and look forward to how this roundtable discussion is going to play out. As always, it is a great pleasure for us on the committee to be back in this hour-long gathering place in our video conferencing world to engage with you, to see where we each see creativity and imagination playing out in our worlds, how we incorporate them into our daily lives, and where we see the possibilities of what we can do when we free our minds to explore and wonder. Our goal here at CNIC is to see creativity and imagination from the different backgrounds we come from, the different angles that we see them from, and to create and foster open, forward-thinking dialogue. We are always looking to find new ideas, to see things from those different perspectives, and ask questions and explore our inner innovation and imagination. It really is our hope that through our discussions that we have at each event and each time that we can meet, that we can expand our minds in new directions, collaborate through idea sharing, create our partnerships in our differences, in our sameness, and in our beliefs, and then carry those forwards out into our world each and every day. So at this time, I want to acknowledge that as a resident of Clarence Rockland, Ontario, which sits just outside of the east end of the city of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, that I'm hosting our meeting on traditional unceded land of the Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. I'm very glad to be sharing this space and acknowledge the importance of our future together. So for tonight, we're getting down to it. For tonight, our roundtable discussion will take a different format than our usual idea jams for those of you that are typically with us. We will be having 3 guest speakers this evening from different backgrounds and places who are going to debate the question, what is the future of creativity? Once they've had their debate for around 20, 25 minutes or so, we're going to open the floor for your discussions and questions and see what we can discover together this evening. So as you can see, Zoom is our platform of choice for this discussion. So Zoom allows you to participate in many different ways. It has built-in controls that allow you to raise your hand so that I can see you when you want to join the conversation. You can add things into our chat function, which helps to keep the ideas and thoughts flowing, excuse me. And you can share your emotions with those little emotion reactions as well. All ideas, all thoughts, and all discussions are good in this idea place. So, my friends, let's get this evening underway and let's begin with some introductions. So our first guest speaker for the evening that I would like to introduce is Dr. Lynn Fels. Lynn is a distinguished professor at the Faculty of Education at Simon Fraser University. Her main research and accomplishments include performance and writing inquiry, collaborative performance in the arts and in life, and acute insight into the Centers for Creativity Accomplishment. Welcome, Lynn, and where are you starting from tonight?
I'm starting from Vancouver, recognizing and very grateful for being on the unceded territories of the Musqueam. And I am very, very honored to be invited to speak to the future of creativity. I would like to start off by saying I think we're doomed. I think we're doomed as soon as we understand that it's prompt engineers who are invited to create the images. If we do not change that name to prompt artists, we are in trouble. I'd like to mention Hannah Arendt in these times in terms of her understanding that the future is already determined by our past, and that there is a gap, and that gap is a present. And so what really matters when we're thinking about the future of creativity is to attend to what's happening here and now in the present. And I am thinking of right now that giant industrial press that is coming down, if you've seen the ad, coming down, down, crushing bass cellos and paintings and sculptures and pianos, crushing, 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 resulting in, ta-da, the new and latest Apple AirBook, all right, as opposed to opening up. And so that the idea that we can think about creativity being inside the computer is problematic. I would like to share with you my experience in terms of creativity is not being a noun, but as a verb, being one of resisting, being one of nourishing, being one of calling into presence our individuality, our uniqueness, who we are, and most importantly, awakening the child within us. And so I'll just share briefly what happened 3 weeks ago. I unrolled newspaper print across 5 lengths of tables in my classroom, which is Arts for Social Change. And I had paints and markers and crayons, and I invited the 23 people in the room to just decide what mattered the most and to draw. And so what mattered the most at that particular time were the seasons. And so we had 5 table lengths, and in the middle, space, the galaxies, stars. So we did summer, winter, spring and fall, and space. And from 5 o'clock to 7:15, the room was filled with young adults drawing, talking, painting. Way past our 6 o'clock dinner break to 7:15 when I said, maybe you're hungry. And what they talked about is how it felt to be children again, to be in conversation and play again. And so to limit us down to how we are here and now is, I think, a warning call. So, of course, in my university, to put anything up on a wall is a guerrilla tactic. So we put it up, all 5 tables lengths, it's about 25 feet, right at the entrance to the education building. And it is still there. And I see this painting as one of resistance because there are kind of like child's paintings, trees, mountains, forests, snowmen, suns with toques, butterflies, beaches, um, all one's heart's desire in the colors, primary colors of children. And subversively, there are coffee cups, different coffee cup shapes to speak to Persian, Israeli, the Middle East conflict, right? And I'm thinking children have invaded our education building. The child within was released briefly. And so if we are to even think about creativity in the future, we need to find ways to awaken the child within us. And I'd like to pass it on to the next speaker.
Excellent. Thanks, Lynn. What a great opening. We look forward to hearing more of that. Our next guest speaker for tonight is Tyler Simmonds. Tyler is an acclaimed filmmaker and keynote speaker. He's an award recipient who exemplifies leadership, courage, and authenticity in his craft. Tyler forges deep connections with his audience through storytelling and advocates for mental health and mindfulness. His communication style emphasizes healthy masculinity, particularly in the African Canadian community, empowering men to embrace vulnerability and navigate their emotional journeys. I'd like to welcome Tyler. Tyler, where are you standing tonight?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm standing in Halifax, Jabuktuk, and yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I thought a lot about this this event tonight and like what I would talk about. So I come from a film background and always been an artist my whole life, writing poetry and did music at one point in my life, but that's not something that I ever think I should go back to. But it's creativity has helped me through a lot. It's helped me become the person I am now. It's helped me even do, it's crossed over into a lot of the other work that I do as a researcher in psychology and work that I do with youth, helping youth who are at risk of being incarcerated. If I seem tired, that's because that's what I was doing all day. And I think definitely I'll talk more about my thoughts on the future of creativity, but I definitely thank you, Lynn, for sharing that, because that's I totally agree with that. I definitely have certain feelings about AI in the future, and a part of me, when I first in the beginning, when things like ChatGPT was coming up, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. What is happening? Like, the world's coming to an end? Like, creativity's dead. Is it dying? Like, it was like everything's over. That's what I was thinking. And then I started to do what I do as a researcher, and how can I understand this thing more, and how can I use this thing to benefit me, and not just me, other people also. And so I've been doing a lot of that, and my perspective has changed a lot on it. And I went from this is terrible to this is actually amazing. And I know a lot of people probably think differently. So it will be interesting to have this conversation tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Our final guest speaker, and not the least, of course, is Dean Verger. Dean was in the business of arts, visual, musical, and theater via his Rasputin's Folk Cafe for 28 years. As a storyteller, he has performed on stages across Canada. These days at university, Dean guides his students in acts of learning through courses such as Psychology of Creativity. Welcome, Dean, and where are you coming from?
I'm on Treaty 6 territory here in Alberta, specifically Edmonton. And outside it's cold, but sunny. So for me, it's 5 p.m. or a little bit after that. My day today was in the classroom, my last class with my students in the psychology of creativity, but I'm thinking also of the days when I ran the folk club, Rasputin's. And in the beginning, musicians in 1981 would come in and say, okay, I'm going to play music tonight. What music do you want me to play? This was coming out of a time when the only music was either albums DJs were playing, recorded music off the radio, or cover performers. And I looked at them and I said, don't you write your own music? Don't you know what you want to play? And it was a complete turnaround in the folk music in Ottawa. When I started teaching at the university some years ago, I created this course about the psychology of creativity. And I didn't want it to be a dry look at creativity. I needed my students to understand that creativity is darn hard work. They had the full term to do a creativity project, which has changed over the years, different things I've done or they've done. And they panic. They panic at the beginning. It's that blank page syndrome. And then what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? What is it you want me to do? And then by the end, when we have that one day, which was today, where they get to showcase their, in this case, it was a game for elementary school-aged children that had to involve movement and had to be safe. Wow, what they came up with, one after the other. In fact, we even played some of the games in the classroom. And they shocked each other. I'll leave it there.
Well then, thank you for that. Thank you, all three of you, for being here with us this evening, and thank you for letting us kind of see where you're coming from. And now we can kind of excitedly get into it. So let me ask the question: what is the future of creativity? Where do you see this act, this endeavor, this frame of mind, or even this compulsion for where we may be going? How do you see from your different backgrounds and experiences the future of what is to come, where creativity will take us, make us, or even possibly break us? In a moment, I'm going to throw the floor open to the three of you. And this way, then we can start our roundtable. For everyone else, our roundtable is now going to talk for about 20 minutes or so, 20, 25 minutes. So this is our chance to listen and see what sparks. We want you in the meantime to be chatting away in the chat room and start thinking as you're hearing things come up, start thinking of your questions so that when we open the floor, we are absolutely ready to go. So, roundtable, what is the future of creativity? I'll let whoever wants to jump in there first have at her.
Before we even start with what's the future, I think Lynn said earlier on that we are grounded in our past. I'm paraphrasing, but the past is so important. And I think if we, the general comment is everybody is creative. And yet the environment, the culture within, either the geographic or the culture of the people that we're in, demand normality, whatever that normal happens to be. And so I would say to be creative takes courage.
All right, I'll jump in, Tyler, if I may. I've asked my students to create AI pictures if they want to, because they're always weekly reflections with an image. And it's amazing what they bring up. It's amazing. And that's why I think the language that we bring as we move forward into the future, we really need to attend to it. Because as I say, the term now is prompt engineers. And so the artist, the creative, has been written right out of that language. And I was thinking of the blank page. My son, he's an animator. He wrote an essay about the ski hill that hasn't been skied on first thing in the morning, the fresh snow, and that being his canvas, and skiing down first thing in the morning, and then riding the gondola back up and seeing the art of the ski and his journey and the artifact. I think we need to be able to see creativity and, oh, it's such a noun, creative action, right? Creative interruption, creative reimagining that calls us to attention. What you're talking about, Dean, is our environment and the structures. We're so colonized. We're so colonized that we do not even see the walls, right? And the language that performs us. So when I talk about creativity being an engagement of resistance, I truly believe that we need to do that. I hear too many times, I'm not an artist, I'm not a dancer, and yet we move, and yet we create. And children would never say that, right? I dance. So how do we, and Tyler, if I may, and you said music. No, I shouldn't do music, right? And I would say, why not? It's sound, right? But we are guilty for having, and this is an old argument, made an expertise out of the arts. And so that it's difficult even to get administrators to come to a theater workshop or a dance workshop, for example, right? You have to change the language, a movement, exploration, and then surprise them with dance. So I think we have to be subversive if we're looking into creativity as having a future. I think we have to look to our children and see whether or not we are inviting them into the play of the arts. I feel like I'm standing on a soapbox. I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. That's when I said that I shouldn't do music, it was because I think I sound terrible. But I still do it, like just for fun. I will sing and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not gonna do it in front of you guys or anything. And I think the future of creativity from my perspective is it's really taking those things that we taking our past, our history, and all of those amazing aspects of the artists and the things that we've learned about true beautiful art and true beautiful creativity. And the reason why I say that that AI is amazing is because I see a future where we can keep that essence of us while simultaneously working alongside this artificial intelligence in a way that is like, instead of, because in the beginning I was like, it's trying to take over what, it's almost like, I feel like a lot of people feel that it's almost like it's trying to take over what we are, but it's us. It's like it gets its information from us. It gets all of it, everything about it is created by us. So once I started thinking in that way, I'm like, okay, this is just, it's really just something that is a wealth of information. If I want to learn about why I even get this feeling when I look at a Basquiat painting or something, I can go into ChatGPT, the paid version, but which is, I know, but I can do that and I can type in according to this book, tell me what was going through Basquiat's mind as he was writing this. And it's really just, I think that's how it can be used. It can be used in a way for learning. If I think us creative us creative people are very curious. I'm extremely curious. I want to know the answer to everything. I want to know the meaning to life. I want to know all of these things. I won't get most of the answers. It's really about the questions. But I can speak to AI and ask them what people before me thought about these things. It's it's not just giving me the factual information, it's giving me opinions and ideas, and it's it makes me think of like when I first and I mentioned Basquiat because when I first saw his documentary, it was I was in my early 20s, and I remember thinking, this guy is so much like me, like this awkward black guy who just somehow fits into every different little social circle and people, and he's awkward and he's self-conscious, but he still makes it work and people still like him for some reason. And that's how he felt about himself, and that's how I feel about myself a lot of the time. And I'm talking about John Mich John Michel Basquiat. And
Mhm.
he when I first saw his documentary, I remember something in me just clicking. And I'm like, if he can do this and be looked at as this person who is one of the greatest artists to live, like, I can I can at least try to do that. And I just came across that by chance. I think that with AI, it's this opportunity to let a machine, if you are brave enough to let a machine know who you are and figure out if there are others throughout history, great people that you can relate to, and you can use them as, for me, I've used people like Jean-Michel Basquiat as someone that was an inspiration for me and help me realize that I can be more than what I saw in the media, that media portrayed a Black man to be.
Mhm.
That was that for me. And so I see it differently. I think if every kid could just be able to go into their phone and say, this is how I feel on a day-to-day. I feel like an outcast. I feel like this. Like, is there someone through history that people respect and love that is similar to me? And then go down a rabbit hole. Like, I think that's a possibility. And also just with working in like psychology research, there's so much that's happening with AI on that side also. And also there's like things are so much faster now. Even with ASD, like autism spectrum disorder, it's like there's just so many developments happening now and so fast, and we're understanding things a lot faster than we would have in the past. And it can be scary, but it can also be exciting. So I do have moments of fear, definitely, especially at this time of living with, you know. But I also feel optimistic that the good and the love in our hearts and that real true essence of humankind can override all of that nonsense.
If I might, riffing off of some of the stuff that Tyler has been saying, one of the things I believe it was Marshall McLuhan said that each new technology replaces an old technology, or that just may be a truism of the times. And with AI, it's just another way of copying somebody else's work or generating a new trigger for an idea. It's a tool. It's just a tool. It can be used for good. It can be overused to reduce one's dependence on one's own imagination. But what I liked, one of the things that Tyler said that clicked with me was he's curious. And as long as human beings are curious, they will go looking for answers. Well, for a little while, it was go onto a search engine, there's the answer, and that's the end of it. And then along come videos like YouTube, and makerspace suddenly explodes because I can look at someone quilting, or I can look at someone working with leather, or somebody learning how to do practical effects for movies, wherein stunts and such. Makerspace for me is one of those polymath ideas where somebody says, oh, I could do this and this and this and this. And suddenly they are taking not just leather making, but leather making, metalworking, and half a dozen other things and putting it into an engineering project, that diversity of ideas. So I started with saying courage is necessary. I'm picking up on Tyler's curiosity. What's the future of creativity? As long as we allow people a voice. Lynn says we need to be, it's not subversive, but Lynn, what did you say? And not, we have to be.
I did say subversive and resistance.
Yes, we have to be resistance. But for me, the heart of creativity is surprise. There's lots of definitions floating around. And in my research, yes, here's a definition for creativity. Here's another definition for creativity. And yet, for me, it comes down to, does it surprise me? That's it. And I don't care if it's useful or not. But I do know that for creativity to be carried on, I have to infect somebody else with curiosity, with surprise, and have them motivate them to continue forward, not with what I'm doing. I don't want mimicry. I want to instill them with an internal fire.
So interesting, because I never meant for this to turn into an AI kind of debate at all. And when I say resistant, I'm not resisting AI at all. I think what's critical, though, is that we be aware of the language and the structures and the limitations, and remember who is creating these instruments. And I opened up with that image of the industrial press, right, destroying any kind of artistic endeavor, and suggesting, well, it's all here, you can create it. That seems very lonely for me. I brought forward the idea of the 5 table lamps, 23 people creating together a mural that's now on a wall. Because there is something that happens when people create together. And there's something that happens. So can we do that with computers? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think it's really critical for us not to forget that one person now can create a movie, if you want to go that way. One person can create an ad. One person, right? So there are a lot of people who will be edged out of creative jobs, well-paying jobs, because a machine now has the capacity. And I think it's really important. Here's why I'm turning to children. If children do not have access to touch, to play, to making music, to getting their hands in finger painting, and to never arrive at the idea that I'm not a painter, I'm not a dancer, but to embody that through their lives, I think there is the heart and hope of creativity. I mean, it's incredibly creative if we want to look at what's happening south of the border, right? Even put tariffs on penguins. I mean, it's amazing what's happening. So creativity is very dangerous as well. I mean, I'm just waiting for it. Who gets jailed, right? Along with the academics are the artists. So we're not getting jailed. We're just getting no longer needed, right? We're getting replaced. We're getting dismissed. We're being told that we can do it all on the computer, right? And still, I can't touch you wherever you are in Brazil or Argentina or down the street. I mean, I can't touch you. I can't hold you. I can't dance with you. And if we lose the very physicality of creativity, then I think we are in danger of losing ourselves. Yes. Celeste Snowbird talks about, the body knows before we even know cognitively. I would agree, Dean, 100%. Richmond Dunlop, who did wonderful, amazing poetry and creative writing, she would say to her students, what do I expect? What do I want? Astonish me. Yeah, that's what we want. Yeah, astonish me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It is. And I think I think it really is undeniable that there's nothing that can compare to the creation of what a human can create while they're in creative flow. And I don't think that that's something that a computer would ever be able to do. Is I think that's something that's unexplainable, like that. I'm just talking about creative flow now, like that feeling that I get when I am writing and I'm not thinking, but I'm just going off of something in my chest. And I have no idea where it's coming from. It's some would say it's coming from the muses or from God or something. And I don't see a computer doing that. And that's, I think, to me, in my heart, that is really true creativity. And definitely hearing you talk about that, I'm thinking about the importance of children feeling that while they're dancing and playing. And I think that's just so important. It's probably the most important thing, like just socializing with other kids. I remember me and my friends when we were kids, we just pretend that we were superheroes and chase each other around the neighborhood. Like, you can't do that on a computer. Like, you can play a game, but you can't actually feel the wind while you're running down the street chasing that friend and trying to find them behind a tree or something like. And that's beautiful. I think definitely just hearing you guys talk is actually making me rethink how I enter this conversation a little bit, but it's also making me just remember how beautiful the human experience is. And yeah, that is scary to to feel like AI could take somebody's job who feels that in their heart while they're creating something. And I think I think where my head is right now, and this is all I'm just telling you exactly how I feel, but where my head is right now is that I think that human experience and that beautiful feeling that we can feel just through play, just through having fun or sharing experiences with others, that will always be the priority for me, and I hope it is for the rest of the world. And I want to encourage the rest of the world to prioritize that because even when I talk about developments in psychology and stuff with AI and how neuroscientists, like I'm reading these things about neuroscientists understanding things like autism more and just they're able to understand things better. It's the one thing about psychology, the one thing about any field, I think, that makes it work is having a heart behind it, like actual feeling and soul. And so I think I do love parts of AI that can help me, um, that can assist me. It's like an assistant at times. I would never be able to get it to like write me a book or something like that. It's just going to regurgitate a bunch of things that other authors wrote because that's what it's supposed to do. And so, yeah, using it for assistance, I think, is what creators, I think creative people should do that, is use it for assistance if they want to. And I say that just because I know how fast it's moving, and I'm also like, let's get the real creative people with the heart behind it, like behind this technology and working with this technology so it can be that much greater. Instead of it's like Mark Zuckerberg on there, like telling people how to be creative or something. Like, let's get real, true, creative people with hearts and care about humanity to start writing into these things and working on these things, and maybe the world can actually benefit from it, you know. Yeah.
If I might add, we used as examples here the arts, as if that's what creativity is sequestered to. It's over there in the arts. No, our creativity is about life, our relationships with each other, workspace, how we deal with everything. In fact, it's a way of thinking. It's more than all the activities. It's how we think. Let me give you a quick example, and then I think Stan wants to bring us elsewhere. And that's, in my class, I gave the example of a pregnant woman at work in many workspaces, standing at a line, doing widgets, and having to go to the bathroom because she's pregnant. And the manager saying, it's not your time. And I asked my students, what should they do? And they all came up until this, lots of ideas. And the one that got everybody to stop and think was, move her station closer to the bathroom. It's a way of thinking about problems and how we can make solutions that work for myself, for other people, whether it's in the arts, business, anything. Stan, I think you want in.
I hate cutting this off. This is really, really good, right? It's been very insightful, but I want to make sure that we have time. If anybody has questions, like to kind of dive in there, like we don't have very long, but if you've been processing things, I've been following the chats, and it's been really good to listen to the three of you talk and to see what ideas are kind of coming in the background. So if any of you have been sort of thinking about something and want to get it out there, right now is a good time, or I can put it back to our round table and we can let them keep going until we close out. But I just want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to be able to ask questions or throw in a comment. So if you do, just click on your little hand thing. And if I don't see anybody, we're going to let them keep talking, because I am very engaged in this right now, as I'm sure you guys are too. We're all happy listening. All right, team, keep going then, right? Have at her. I'll let you know when we're running out of time.
Well, Dean, if I may, I think we take it beyond thinking. Unless you mean thinking with our bodies, with our way of being in the world. There's a complexity, right? There's this huge relational complexity. The latest word now in education is entanglement, drawing from agential realism and Karen Berard, which, I mean, the trouble with being in education is we're like magpies. We steal anything shiny. So entanglement, but we are incredibly entangled with all of us here and all the ideas. And yes, the chat is absolutely brilliant. So Stan, please make a copy and send it to me. That would be amazing. A way of being in the world. And I totally agree. It's like performance, and people think performative inquiry, it's always thought, oh, you mean like theater and drama and on the stage. And I go, no, no, we perform in our lives, right? This performance is here and now. And it's a very entangled. So what I'm hearing is, how do we decolonize? How do we recognize addiction? How do we recognize the well-being? So I'll go back to you, Tyler, in terms of the well-being, right? The arts is a way of entering into well-being, the work you do with your youth. Diane Conrad works with youth in juvenile courts. Residences, creating plays. And it's about as you say, Dean, voice, agency, being awake to how we're being performed in the world. I think that's kind of the most critical thing that I can offer is how are we being performed by our environment, our language, our institutions, the structures. Yeah.
Before you answer that, Tyler, I'm just going to throw it over to Fred for a second because I see he's got his hand up.
Thank you. I was just triggered by Lynn and thinking of my difficulties in getting teachers to teach problem solving because they had actually never experienced it before. And I'm just seeing so much of what we're talking about is that we need, and probably everyone here, because we're creative and imaginative, have had opportunities to participate in collaboratively doing things. And just that energy and the depth that we get from doing it like we do in an idea jam is so thrilling. If teachers would just have an opportunity to do that, well, now we can expand that to a much broader audience. We need to get us all opportunities to do things together. Like I was directing camps and several of us would be writing up skits the night before and there'd be a crowd around us and the energy of designing the humor and drawing in life around us and putting it back out was just so empowering and enjoyable. And people were missing their bedtimes because they wanted to be a part of the process, even if it's on the periphery. So I think we need to have those spaces, sort of like a fishbowl activity where four adults maybe are parsing a poem and the students are watching and learning how our thought processes work and how we interact with our life and how we draw these things in. Or if we ad lib a book together, where we just pick up on each other's ideas and weave it together like that, sort of like making music. For many of you that have learned this through that avenue, we don't have as many collaborative art projects like Lynn opened with tonight.
And education breaks my heart because so many people who come into teaching, that they come in because it's worked for them, the system has worked for them, and they feel very at home, or else they're coming in to revolutionize it because it was something that they resisted and they're coming in to change it. But the system is amazing how it, yeah, I guess that says it all. If you don't have the experience, right, or you've forgotten play, then you will comply and you can't share with children if you haven't experienced yourself. And that's what I do in my classes with teachers at the, and there's a master's level is, all right, we're going to create art. We're going to do a role drama. We're going to dance. We're going to, and there's resistance. Yeah, a different kind of resistance, but within resistance is a new kind of learning and something arrives that they've forgotten or never experienced. It's a huge task. I think education has been a huge failure in the States, definitely. And here where are we? I guess is a question. And why are we being shut out of schools? That's a huge question to ask, right? Here in Vancouver, we're no longer in elementary schools for music programs. We no longer have the art teacher. Drama, there's no one there. Like, and yes, the arts are everywhere and creative ways of being and thinking, critical thinking, problem solving.
It used to be play. Go out into the schoolyard and get out of my hair while I clean up the classroom. But the benefits of play are all of the things that Lynn has talked about. They interact socially, they create their own games, they problem solve, they have to develop their social skills, the allyships. And there is a misunderstanding that the more time you spend learning who the prime minister was in 1867 and 1967, the smarter you are.
Critical
But
creature.
that is actually a false paradigm.
I hate cutting in because this always is so good. But we're down to our last like 4 minutes. So I want to give each of you 1 minute to give us your final sum up. And then unfortunately we need to close for the evening, but man, are we ever engaged. So why don't I start with you, Tyler? Final thoughts.
I'm so glad that I came to this tonight and was able to talk to all of you. Dean and Lynn, you're both amazing, and thank you for sharing everything that you have shared. When I think about the future of creativity and where things are now in just society, like I'm not even gonna just think about just art, like painting and stuff, like just society, how things are. Like, we know the person who lacks creativity, the person who just wants to have power. He's the president of the United States. Like that type of person. We don't want to be like those people. We want to be, I think of everyone on this call as people who want to actually improve the lives of others and also improve our own lives and our own well-being, without doing it by hurting others. And it's such a big topic, the future of creativity. In thinking about the past, there's amazing creative people, but there's also some tragedy and some terrible things. Talk about colonization, there's a ton of that. It's still happening. And I think me having this conversation and coming from where I'm from and knowing about my family's background from North Preston and the things that they've been through, at a certain point, I think the reason why I'm like, okay, there's this AI thing now, and yeah, it's kind of pissing me off, but also, you know what? How about I just be like, okay, I think I know what they're trying to do here. Let me take this and let me flip it. Because if you know about the Black community, that's something that we do very well. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get us to be like, okay, they're trying to just push us out. You know what we're going to do? We're going to make the best of it. We're going to make them think, damn, I wish we would have thought of that. They just took what we created to push them out and made it into something beautiful that we couldn't even see. And so I hope that we can do that. And that's really what I want to do. And I want all of us to do, because I know the colonizer is going to try to colonize, and they are often successful at colonizing. So how do we fight back? We take what they're trying to use against us and we flip it and we use it, and we put our hearts and we keep putting our hearts into what we're doing. We keep being present in the now, but instead of just using it for nonsense, we use it for good. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We're a little over time, but we'll keep going with our closing. So Lynn, you're next.
Tyler, that's so beautifully said. Resistance, subversive, and reimagining how we might play with what arrives in our lives. Thank you for that. And thank you also for the background. Beautiful art behind you. I've just loved it. And Dean, thank you for sharing with us, reminding me too of like creativity is everywhere in every action and how we are with each other. I want to thank everyone for being here, and your presence has just been so inspiring, and as always, and Stan for opening up, and your team, and you opening up, Mary, the invitation for three of us. I can't believe an hour has flown by. I think we've been in flow, so I thank everyone for that.
Awesome. Thanks.
Flow. I love that. What a wonderful nod to Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, his term, flow. For me, creativity is an emergent process that comes out of being a human being. There will always be the majority who want to follow the rules, who establish the rules as norms. These are the way things have to be. And then there will be people like us who sit there and go, but what about this? Why don't I try this? Wouldn't this be neat? And I hope all of us follow the path of being pains of the ass for those who are norms.
That is awesome. You know what? And Lynn said it best. I cannot believe how quickly this night has gone by. This has been absolutely amazing. And it's really too bad that we've reached the end of our night, but I thank you all for hanging in there that little while longer. This has been so exciting for us as we were planning this out to see how is this going to go. And it's interesting when you hear people's perspectives on the future of creativity. Well, I want to thank you for that discussion. And this is exactly why CNIC is here. So we are so glad the three of you could join us, and we're so glad all of you could join us. This is an amazing time for us. So with that, we do want you to know that CNIC is socially connected, which is partly how you got here. Check out our website at www.canadiannetworkforimaginationandcreativity.com. Now we have some more updated information. We can also be found on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube under CNIC. Find us online for information for things like our idea jams, for things like our roundtable discussions. You can view bios, view past idea jams and chats, and other helpful information about us, what we're doing, and how we can continue to connect together to explore imagination and creativity. As I wrap up this evening, I really again want to thank you for joining us in this past hour and that little bit extra, and for making time in your evening to be here and just share your thoughts and your ideas with us. All of our time together at CNIC, between our idea jams and now this, is really important to us, and we're glad you could share in our creativity and imagination journey. So, my friends, be with us again a little later on in April on the 17th, as we've got our next idea jam coming up, and that one's going to be hosted by Jacqueline Lawrence. So just remember, if you don't clear your Zoom out, our idea jam link should always be there when you go to join a meeting, so you always know where to find us on the third Thursday of every month. If not, check out our website. There'll be a lot more information there for what we're doing and what's coming up. On behalf of all of us here at CNIC, in our planning committee and in our leadership board, we want to thank you for spending your Thursday evening with us. I thank you for joining me on this journey, and thank you again for sharing your creativity and imagination with us. And we really do look forward to seeing you again later on this month on the 17th. Have a great evening, everybody, and thank you for the energy. Let your Friday be filled with positive, creative energy. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Dan.